It's EEG. It's an electrical current sort of thing, medical grade EEG machine. They put a sensor on your, well, not a sensor, it's a copper little thing that measures the frequencies that are being emitted from different parts of the brain. And based on the, I'm not going to give you everything, but based on the amount of, because it's a lot, based on the frequency that's being emitted, what wave, you can go from 0 to 36 hertz. Based on the type of frequency and the amount of energy, or the amplitude, if you want to say, that's being emitted in different ranges at different times, you can have a parasympathetic response or a sympathetic response. I know this is a lot. Sorry for whoever's typing this or recording this. But I'm trying to get myself more into a parasympathetic response, which is more of a restful state. A sympathetic response is a stress state. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish. So throughout the whole day, I'm always in a restful state, not a stress state. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's how you measure it, though. I mean, it's through an EEG machine and some other things I'm not going to tell you.
Huh? Really interesting stuff right there from Bryson DeChambeau. And to sort through all this, we've got a real live expert right here, Adrian Quevedo. He's co-founder and clinical director of Newrologix. Adrian, this is your world there at Newrologix, and I've spent some time with you. You've actually had the EEG hooked up to me.
Right.
But sort of get us through what we were hearing from Bryson right there, because this really is a new frontier in performance science.
It really is. And so what Bryson's talking about is really how the brain is processing all the information going on around in our environment. And so the frequencies in the brain dictate a lot of how we're processing all that information. And what he's talking about is fast and slow frequencies. And the slow frequencies versus fast frequencies, there's a ratio. And so what's difficult is that you have to take all that information and process it. And if your brain isn't cued in to the right frequencies, you're missing things. So when you and I talked, we really talked about how you have all these different brain regions that process attention and concentration and extended periods of concentration, visualization, memory, language, speech processing, and all of those parts of the brain have to be working in unison together in order to be able to do something simple like put a ball.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. You can't package this into one neat little container, and that's the beauty of being able to unwrap the brain in 3 dimensions, is that we can literally see which area is affecting what. So information travels in flow. The brain processes information. The numbers are 400 or 500 billion things that the brain processes every 1 second.
Yeah.
So if any of those things are off, and you and I talked about this a little bit too, is that can impede your golf swing. So if you're in the middle of a backswing and you have that thought, or your ears or your thoughts or everything catches what's going on in the environment around you, then that's not really helping your golf game. And so what Bryson's doing is he's really honing in on those specific areas of the brain that are processing this information and going into the depths of it and being able to extract all that information out. So he's doing a pretty good job of going through the neurofeedback process to be able to get all that information pulled out.
In that neurofeedback process, I was very thrilled when I came to see you. There weren't any needles involved.
No.
But basically what you do is you take a baseline, you sort of see what you're dealing with, and then you come in and you go through this process. Walk our viewers through that process, what it looks like.
So the brain mapping process really is we're taking a cap that has 19 sensors, and the sensors are just listening. So like you said, we're not putting anything in, we're just listening. It's kind of like when you go to the car dealership and your car check engine light comes on. We're able to take those sensors, listen to the 19 different areas that we map, which correspond to all the different brain regions, and get a full detailed assessment of what's going on. Then what we do is we take the areas that are most statistically out of norm and out of range, and we go through the neurofeedback process, which is really just teaching the brain how to control the brightness on the screen. And so when you were doing it, you're watching your show, and if the brain is producing the right patterns, then the brain's rewarded with the nice bright screen. And if it's not producing the right patterns, then the screen gets dark. And what happens is that over time, the brain learns how to control the brightness of the screen, and that reinforces those brainwave patterns. And that's exactly what neurofeedback is and how it works.
Well, it's absolutely fascinating. I've learned, really enjoyed learning a lot about it. For folks out there that are watching, they might want to learn a little bit more. Where can they go?
So you can learn everything about Newrologix at www.ahpinstitute.com.
Well, really fascinating stuff. I can tell you, after going through that baseline study, you looked at me and said, you have self-doubt. Nobody knows it, but you have self-doubt. And he actually nailed me on that one. Really, really cool stuff. And it's neat to see Bryson DeChambeau using this new science to go out and play at such a high level.
Right.
Adrian, thank you for your time.